Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have some stories for you from the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Before we start today, I don't want to push anything on you. I just want to say thank you for being here. I've been doing this for 6 years now, and every single one of you viewers and listeners, you guys are all amazing, and I appreciate every last one of you. Alright, on to the stories. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Icy Computer Poop. Same penalty for being 6 minutes late as for being 3 hours late? Okay, boss. I have always been the kind of person to arrive at work and events early. I hate the stress of running late, so I always allow more than enough travel time on my commute to avoid lateness. I always stop for a coffee first thing on my morning commute to work. It was a half-hour drive to work on the highway, so I like to sip my coffee and listen to tunes to relax before work. Even though it's only a half-hour commute, I would leave for work an hour before my start time, just in case there were any unexpected delays. One particular day, there's a massive jam on the highway. Now, normally I get to work 20 to 30 minutes early because of the extra travel time, but this traffic jam was bad enough that it still made me 6 minutes late for work. Supervisor starts giving me crap for coming in late, but having a coffee, publicly calling me out in front of other employees. Hey everyone, look at OP, his morning coffee is more important to him than respecting his coworkers. No amount of, I bought the coffee before I knew there was a traffic jam, would get him to stop hassling me. He wrote me up for being late. Now, my company had a policy that less than 5 minutes late is okay, but 5 minutes plus late means a potential write-up. Doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes and 30 seconds or 2 hours late, the punishment was the same. However, supervisors were given leeway on this and were encouraged not to penalize people unless they were consistently late. I was almost never late, almost always early, but my supervisor decided to punish me anyway. So fast forward a couple of weeks, another delay, and looks like I'm going to arrive at work about 15 minutes late. So, knowing that I'm going to get written up no matter what, I pulled off the highway, found a nice little restaurant, and had a leisurely 2-hour breakfast. Showed up at work 2.5 hours late, and got the same write-up I would have done if I'd been 15 minutes late. But at least I also got to relax and eat bacon. I still showed up at work early 99% of the time, but every now and then there might be a delay that would mean I'd be 6 minutes late, or 10, or 15. Rather than take the penalty for a lousy couple of minutes, each time I'd extend the late time a couple of hours and have a nice, relaxing breakfast. OP getting written up by the supervisor the first time they were ever late really makes me think that that supervisor might have had it out for OP and was looking for reasons to write them up. Especially when OP mentions that it was at the supervisor's discretion whether that write-up happened or not. One thing I learned being a manager is that you don't jump on people for their slight transgressions. It's the big things that really need you to get involved. The slight ones only need the slightest little bit of coaching. So in this case, I wouldn't have written OP up. It was the first time they were ever late. Things happen, and we understand that it works that way. So again, that drives home the idea to me that there was something else going on here, and that supervisor really wanted a reason to write up OP. This story comes to us from Ash Monaday. I threatened my manager with malicious compliance. He didn't take it, so I went all in. Right after finishing my training, I landed my first full-time job in quality control at a mid-sized chemical company. The team in the lab was 5 people, me full-time, the others part-time. The company always claimed that even though they were not part of the union, they still paid according to union contracts. I am from Germany. Many industries are unionized, and generally all employees get the contracted pay, no matter if they are members or not. It was good money at the time. I had no reference and no reason to doubt, until I got engaged 7 years later. My fiance had the exact same training, worked for a bigger company, and they actually followed the union contract. The starting wage was the same, but real union contracts had pay raises after set times. This led to a difference in 600 euros per month. I was a bit upset to say the least. I was looking for a new job, but a 3-month notice period was too long for many possible employers. So, being frustrated and not really attached to my old job, I was free to comply maliciously in a way I would never recommend to anyone who wants to keep their job. I copied the part of the union contract with the wage table. There was a nice little relation between training level, tasks, and wage ranges. Armed with this and a secret weapon, I asked for a talk with my manager. In his office, I laid the union contract on his table, showed this nice little table, and said something along the lines of, "You always tell people this company pays according to the union contracts. Look at this. There's a gap between my skills and tasks and my pay. It's a €600 gap. So, to comply to your statement, there are two ways to fix this. First, I get €600 more. Second, I stop doing many of my tasks. Which one should it be?" He wasn't thrilled, said I was really leaning out of the window with that statement. A German idiom basically getting bold. I replied, 30% of your department's manpower is sitting in front of you. My fiance is getting paid the real union wage, and we're looking forward to move together. Question is, where? As we live 120 kilometers apart. My biggest obstacle is my 3-month notice period. Then came my secret weapon. I pulled out a fully written letter of resignation and asked for a pen to sign it. Long story short, I got the €600 raise. I stayed there for another year. So basically, I was malicious and my employer complied. Hope this qualifies. Jumping down to the comments on this one, there's one from a user called Groundbreaking Oil 434. It says, "The downside to this approach is the boss is now on high alert about you. This means no leeway with screw-ups, no bending the rules in your favor ever. Covering his butt about everything that relates to you. No favors, no priorities. You'll have the book thrown at you every darn time. This is never a good idea, unless you are already looking for a new job." This one ties into the previous story where I said that the supervisor was likely looking for a reason to write OP up. Well, the supervisor in this story is now looking for a reason to write OP up and get their butt out of there, because they know that OP's willing to push back and use what they have against them. This story comes to us from Throw RA. You said to put your crap outside. You never said where. This happened about 10 years ago, but still makes me laugh every time I think about it. I was in my early 20s, dating this guy who was ridiculously controlling and full of himself. Classic narcissist. Everything revolved around him, and in his mind, he could do no wrong. You know the type. Anyway, after I caught him cheating, I finally hit my limit and told him I was done for good. The way I found out he was cheating was the best part. I had my suspicions for a while, so I went through his phone. Sure enough, there were months of messages between him and some girl he worked with. Flirty garbage, talking about how he couldn't wait to leave me, all that nonsense. But one text in particular had me rolling my eyes. He had sent her this the day before. "She's driving me crazy. She's got me through the roof. I need you so bad, babe." Got me through the roof? Pretty sure that's not how the expression goes. Your blood pressure can be through the roof. Your anxiety, your rage, sure. But unless you're Spider-Man or a haunted Victorian child, you are not through the darn roof. The next morning while he was at work, I texted him and said I was done. He kept pressing me to explain, but I never admitted I'd read his messages. I let him stew in his own arrogance until he finally realized I wasn't bluffing. By that point, he had pretty much moved into my house, so naturally, he wanted all his stuff back. He texted me something like, "You better have all my crap outside when I get there, and I mean every effing bit of it. I'm not making 2 trips. Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. I gathered every last thing he had at my place, which included at least a third of his wardrobe, a pile of overpriced hats, 2 pairs of pristine Jordans, and an iPad. I stuffed everything, minus the iPad, into a trash bag, tied it loosely, walked outside, and launched it straight onto the roof. Some of his clothes flew out midair and scattered across the yard. Most of it landed on the roof and just chilled up there like it paid rent. As for the iPad, I put it in a box and set it near the edge of the driveway. Not long after, a couple of teenagers walked by and peeked inside. I was sitting on the porch when one of them asked, "Is this yours?" "Nope." "Can we have it?" "Sure, why not?" He said to put his stuff outside. He never said I had to guard it. About 2 hours later, he pulled up, saw his clothes strewn across the lawn, and a trash bag dangling off the roof, and lost it. He started pounding on the door, furious, yelling, "Why the F are my clothes on the roof?" I swung the door open, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Well, judging by the text you sent your little girlfriend, apparently I had you through the roof. I figured your clothes might as well join you. You told me to put your crap outside, you didn't say where." He stood there red-faced, fist clenched, seething. "And how the F am I supposed to get my crap off the roof?" I shrugged, smiled sweetly, and said, "Maybe your girlfriend can loan you a ladder," then slammed the door in his face. The funniest part is that he ended up making 2 trips after all, laugh out loud. He did come back later with a ladder. Whether or not she loaned it to him, I couldn't say. I stayed inside with the door locked and haven't heard much from him since. OP added an edit down at the bottom. It says, "The one and only time I talked to him after the breakup was the next day when he texted to ask if he could come get his iPad. I told him the truth, that I sat it outside like he asked me to. If it's not there, I guess someone stole it. Sorry." I don't think he believed me because he threatened to GPS track it. I told him to go ahead. Don't know if he was ever able to locate it or not because I blocked his number after that. Laugh out loud. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Tired But Wired 6. It says, "I like all of it except the part where she told the kids they could have it. If he tracked it to them, they could be in trouble. And instead of leaving it outside, she actually gave it away, which is not cool. She could have said, 'That's my ex's, and he's coming to pick it up. You can't have it.' Then, if they did take it, it's not on her, and they knew someone might come looking for it. It's 10 years ago though, so meh." OP responded to this one and said, "The police around here don't do crap about stolen electronics. If somebody steals your phone or your iPad, you're pretty much on your own. And besides, if he did track it down, the kids would have told him I gave it to them, and he would have believed them 100%. I knew he had the money to go buy him a new one. He wasn't going to do anything to those kids." Could somebody tell me why my mind immediately went to the fact that OP should have thrown a pizza up on the roof with the clothes? I think I've watched too much TV. OP, I sincerely hope you're better at picking out guys in the future because that one from the other comments you made about him just getting out of jail 8 months previously, being an addict and other things, yeah, you could definitely do better than that. This story comes to us from Ray Costello. HOA demanded more green coverage, so I gave them all the green coverage. So this happened last year, but the mint is still spreading, and the HOA is still losing their minds, so I figured you'd appreciate this. I live in one of those cookie-cutter suburban developments with an HOA that has nothing better to do than measure grass height and count dandelions. Behind my house, there's this steep slope that's basically a dead zone. Terrible soil, gets destroyed by sun, nothing grows there. Looks like crap, but it's not my fault the builder graded it wrong. Enter the HOA Compliance Committee, aka 3 retired Karens with clipboards. They start sending me violation notices about insufficient green coverage and failure to maintain community landscaping standards. I try explaining that it's an impossible area, but they don't care. They want it green or they want fines. I spend like $200 on grass seed, it dies. Another $300 on sod, it dies. Hire a landscaper for $800 who basically tells me some places aren't meant to be green, then leaves. More violation notices. Finally, I'm browsing Reddit at 2 a.m. as you do, and see this post for Bad Apples Double Mint Seed Bombs that claims to solve impossible erosion problems. The whole thing sounds sketchy, but I'm desperate and facing HOA fines, so F it. $35 for 5 seed bombs. Here's where the malicious compliance begins. The violation notice specifically said I needed to establish adequate green coverage using appropriate plant materials for erosion control. It didn't say what plants, just appropriate and green coverage. So I read up on mint. Turns out it's actually excellent for erosion control. Deep roots, spreads aggressively, thrives in terrible conditions. Technically, checks every box they demanded. Friday evening, I chuck all 5 seed bombs onto my dead zone like I'm lobbing grenades. Saturday morning, I email the compliance committee that I've deployed professional grade erosion control featuring premium mint varieties selected for aggressive establishment in challenging terrain. Sounds official as heck, right? Plot twist, it actually worked. 6 weeks later, my dead zone is green as heck. Thick, lush, beautiful mint covering everything. The compliance officer does her walkthrough and actually compliments my creative landscaping solution. Violation notices stop. I'm feeling pretty smug. Plot twist number 2, Mint doesn't understand property lines. By fall, I noticed Mint popping up in the common areas. Underground runners had snuck under the fence and were colonizing the neighbors. Spring comes and Mint is everywhere. Around mailboxes, along walking paths, even in their fancy entrance landscaping. Here's the beautiful part. The HOA Charter, Section 4.2.7, if anyone cares, specifically prohibits removal or disturbance of vegetation that originates from individual property owner plantings without explicit written consent. They can't touch the mint without violating their own rules. Current situation, ongoing chaos. HOA hired 3 different landscaping companies, all basically said, "You have mint now, learn to love mojitos." Community Facebook group is 50% people complaining about mint, 50% people asking where to harvest it for cocktails. Last month's HOA meeting included 20 minutes of heated debate about aggressive aromatic species management. They're trying to revise the charter, but need 75% homeowner approval, and everyone thinks this is hilarious. Best part, Karen number 1 from the compliance committee now sends passive-aggressive emails about residents who deliberately introduce invasive species, but can't name names because that would be creating a hostile community environment. Section 2.1.4. My neighbors love it. Free mint for everyone. The mailman said our whole street smells like a spa. I make mint juleps with ingredients harvested from the community mailbox area. The HOA wanted green coverage, mission effing accomplished. I know there's a ton of people out there that just enjoy their carpets of grass in front and behind their houses, but personally, I look at those and think they kinda suck, because there's no variety there, there's no wildlife there, and there's a heck of a lot of water being wasted to make that green carpet. I'm a big fan of having wildflowers and non-invasive plants in your front lawn, and that honestly leads to less maintenance as well. Alright, I think we'll end this one here. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to follow us on your favorite podcasting platform. And if you're watching and listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really does help us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.